to the one we did.
All right, yeah, no problem. We'll do the last one here. All right, so we have a cosine function, and we have an amplitude of 2. Amplitude is always the absolute value of that number out in front. So we have an amplitude of 2. No reflection because there's no negative sign. The period is always, for sine and cosine, it's always 2 pi divided by whatever is in front of x. So 2 pi over 8, which reduces to pi over 4. All right, so we know we have our amplitude and our period is pi over 4. The period always goes on that fourth notch. So that means the fourth notch is pi over 4. All right, if this goes too quickly, please just tell me to slow down because I know sometimes you're writing and listening at the same time. So I'm going to take half of pi over 4. Now remember, you can always, to take half of something, you can always just multiply the denominator by 2. So that's going to be pi over 8. And then I'm going to take half of that, and that's pi over 16. Now, I had some of you say, hey, you knew how to do this, but had trouble getting that third one, and it's always the hardest. So if you can get to here, you're in really good shape. Once you get that pi over 16, that is your scale. So the first one, and I'm going to write these in a different color. Your first notch is 1 pi over 16. Your second notch is 2 pi over 16. Your third notch is 3 pi over 16. And your fourth notch is 4 pi over 16. So once you find that first notch, you just count, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those things. Now, once you do that, though, you have to reduce the fractions. That's why we got pi over 8 here, because pi over 8 is 2 pi over 16 reduced. And pi over 4 is 4 pi over 16 reduced. Now, 3 pi over 16 doesn't reduce, so that third notch we're just going to keep as 3 pi over 16. And I'm going to get rid of all these because they're not reduced fractions. So there's our amplitude. There's our period. So now I'm ready to graph it. It's a cosine graph. Cosine starts up here at the amplitude. Then every other notch, that's an intercept, that's a minimum, then an intercept, then a maximum. So when I connect those, remember it's a smooth graph, not just a V. There is our cosine graph. All right, one more. What other one would you like me to do, guys?
The problem right above the one you just did.
Sure. All right, so lots going on in this one here. I can see our amplitude is 3. So the amplitude is, I always write that down first just because it's the easiest thing to find. It's always the absolute value of the number out in front. The minus sign, that's going to be a reflection. I'll do that at the end. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. Just don't let me forget. The period is 2 pi divided by the number in front of x. The number in front of x is 1/2, okay, because that's like 1x over 2, which is 1/2 x. So our period is going to be 2 pi divided by 1/2. Okay, because this is 1/2 in front of the x. It's always 2 pi divided by that number in front of the x. So to simplify that, I flip the bottom over, so that's going to be times 2 over 1. Giving us a period of 4 pi. And that always goes on our 4th notch. So that is going to be 4 pi. Now, I can tell already this is going to be 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. But just to follow the same process, I could take half of that. Of course, half of 4 pi is 2 pi. And half of 2 pi is 1 pi. And then I count 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. Okay, but that scaling of the x-axis can be troublesome. In this case, it's not so bad. Have an amplitude of 3. It's a cosine graph. So cosine graph is going to start here. Then it's an intercept. Then it's a minimum. Then it's an intercept. Then it's a maximum. Okay, so that cosine graph looks like that. But remember I said, don't let me forget about this thing. Okay, we have to flip that over the x-axis. So instead of starting up here at positive 3, it starts at negative 3. And 0 is still 0 if you flip it over. And then it's going to go up to positive 3, and then 0, and then down to negative 3. So the orange graph is our final answer. And I'll get rid of all the purple stuff so that we're not too confused. That will be our final answer. All right, any questions on those 3 that we went over?